hey, you get coronavirus. The coronavirus, or COVID-19, looks like it's gonna be a pretty serious thing in Hawaii. I can't talk with this thing on. Anyway, in this video, I want to share what they've been telling us locally about the coronavirus as it relates to Hawaii, as well as what I think the impacts could be if we do get coronavirus here in Hawaii. Also, do I think it's safe to come to Hawaii during this time? Let me just say this is early March 2020. So a lot of things change, a lot of things have been happening. It seems like in the news, we get something new every single day or every other day. I'm also not a doctor, so I can't predict what's exactly happening. All we can do is base what we do on what we hear from the news, so you can take it for what it is. And of course, everything in this video is subject to change as they keep telling us more and more information. From my understanding, they have it quite a bit in Japan and South Korea, which are two countries that funnel a lot of tourists to Hawaii. I know that they've started to withdraw some of the flights from those places, but we'll see if they do an outright ban. In the beginning of all of this, as a local, I'm thinking, it's not gonna affect us, it's so far away. But Hawaii was one of the handful of US airports that was still accepting flights from China before officials shut that down. To me, the biggest alarm was a Japanese tourist couple that came to Hawaii on January 28th through February 7th. They spent some time in Maui and then they spent some time in Waikiki on Oahu before returning back to Japan, where they then showed signs of coronavirus. And when they were on Oahu, they spent time in Waikiki at the Hilton Grand Waikikian and took Delta and Hawaiian Airlines. So a lot of opportunity there for exposure. But I do want to mention that no one has been tested positive as of the making of this video in early March for coronavirus. So as far as we can tell, everyone is still clean. Hawaii does have quarantine stations, one off of Pearl Harbor, and I know at the airports they're trying to screen people and have areas there just for that purpose. For a while, Hawaii had no test kits, but we've recently gotten some, and so they have been testing some people, and again, no one has confirmed to have coronavirus. I believe the governor just declared a state of emergency for this, and so funds can be used now for emergency purposes. A lot of things are also getting canceled or postponed. But how is all of this going to affect Hawaii? I think that's the most important thing to ask. Not just the health of the people, but also the health and reputation of the state. So I have 3 reasons why it's a pretty big deal for Hawaii. And if you're a local and you took some time to think about it for like 2 minutes, you'd probably be thinking the same thing. Impact on tourism. This is probably where it's gonna hurt Hawaii the most. Last year in 2019, we had a record high for the number of visitors that came to Hawaii. But if Hawaii gets this reputation as this place where there's a coronavirus because, we're so close to Asia, people might stop coming and it's gonna hurt our tourism industry, which is our #1 really economic driver here. And I think this is where the balance is very difficult from the government standpoint. On the one hand, you want the public to be safe. You want the information to get out. You want to make sure everyone is safe, everyone is good. Because of course, public health and safety is the most important thing. But on the other hand, if news got out that Hawaii was this place where you could potentially get sick, it would have a really bad impact. And so how much information do you actually tell people? I think the natural response would be that people would cancel their accommodations or cancel their flights, and you'd have less people coming to Hawaii. In 2003, during the SARS outbreak, Hawaii saw a 40% drop from Japanese visitors. And so in 2020, with all the things that are going on now, are we going to see something similar? And in case you didn't know, we get a lot of Japanese visitors and tourists that come to Hawaii. And a lot of them are expected to come during what they call Golden Week, which is this amazing 1-week-long vacation. I wish we had it here in the US. But with this happening, it's probably going to impact the number of visitors that come during that time. And for a lot of Japanese visitors, they're not cheap. Like, they spend a lot of money. They stay in the nice places, they eat a lot of great food, and they like to go shopping. Without them, I think it's really going to make a big economic dent. We're isolated. Hawaii is the most isolated place in the world. We live on a series of islands in the Pacific, and if some kind of disease or illness came to Hawaii, it really wouldn't take that long for it to spread. Because even across islands, everything pretty much comes through Oahu. We do have a nice trade wind, so it can kind of clear up the air. But with the amount of people that we have here and the lack of space, I don't think that we can control the disease if it spreads too quickly. Large elderly population. Hawaii has a lot of elderly people, or kapuna as we call them. They make up about 25% of the overall population right now. And most of the time, that population is what boosts Hawaii's reputation as a healthy place to live. However, because of that population and the effect that the virus has on that population, it could be pretty bad in Hawaii. There's gonna be a lot of aunties, uncles, grandmas, and grandpas that could get sick. And if the mortality rate is really high, that's gonna impact our population quite a bit. In the meantime, we're just gonna wait and see what's gonna happen. I mean, we really don't know a lot of information, but we're getting it slowly and day by day. So do I think it's safe to come to Hawaii? Well, in my non-doctor capacity as just a regular person who's watching the news and kind of figuring out what's going on here, I would say that it's generally safe to come here. We haven't had a case yet where someone was tested positive. I think they will become positive. I think we will find people who do have coronavirus here in Hawaii. The chances of that are just so high because we have so many tourists coming from Asia. There's just so many people that are here in Hawaii that are transient that eventually move on. It's so hard to keep track, and I know that they're trying their best to try to figure out exactly where certain people have been, and it must be just a nightmare trying to test everyone and keep track of all that data. But I think as long as you practice general health behaviors, it should be okay. Wash your hands, bring hand sanitizer. I don't know how effective the masks are. I try using it, and I guess it doesn't really prevent things from going into your mouth as you breathe. I mean, your eyes are still exposed, but at least it prevents you from touching your mouth and your nose, which you don't realize it, but you do touch your mouth and your nose a lot every single day. So it does help with that. But like I said earlier, things are changing so fast. We get news about this quite a bit, and maybe they will find something here in Hawaii. But I say for the meantime, I think it's okay. So thanks for watching, and aloha.